Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom, and in this video we're going to be continuing the Tamora Pierce's Immortals Quartet. So this is book 3. This is Emperor Mage. So this is interesting. So they're going, she's with Numere and various other ones. Please ignore the calico in the background. And they're going to Carthage because they need to make peace because he has a giant army and navy. And so it's bigger than theirs, and a war with them would be troublesome and last a very long time and cause a lot of lives to die. Oh. Sorry, it's almost 8 o'clock and I have a 2-year-old. But this is kind of an interesting thing. So they're on the ship, they're going. She's being brought along because the emperor, who's obsessed with his birds, and they're sick. And so she can heal animals. So she's being brought along as a good goodwill gesture, along with Elena. And Numere's been offered a pardon because normally he was friends with the Emperor Mage. But yeah, he was sentenced to death and he escaped many, many years ago. So as long as he behaves. And then of course Elena's there. I think Garrett's, both the older and the younger, are there as well. So you don't really see much of them. But so they get there. Before they dock, the Badger shows up, has some sort of weird argument with invisible gods, and gives her some sort of gift that turns out she can bring dead things back to life. Hi, cat. Kendra, stop that. And then you also meet Kandar, who's the current heir to the throne. So he's the emperor's nephew. He's gone through apparently various different heirs. He's very intelligent. He works with another mage who was a mentor to Numere, who was going by Aram at the time. So he was also very good with the animals. So it's an interesting part of this story. So she's gifted this thing where she's actually able to bring dead animals back to life, including skeletons. Turns out she was given this power not necessarily by the Badger, but by the Carthage graveyard hag, who's one of their goddesses. The gods are pissed off at Carthage because they're not paying attention to their temples anymore, and they're busy building armies and universities and interacting with the Immortals. So they're not paying attention to their temples, and the Emperor Mage has basically declared, you cannot worship anymore. You cannot give offerings, or otherwise I'm going to punish you and I'm going to tax you some more. Your money goes to me. So the gods are obviously kind of ticked off, as they are. So they're going to use Dane as a tool for their, basically, destruction, to teach them a lesson. Unfortunately, the graveyard hat doesn't realize that, yes, Dane may be the child of a god, but she's connected to animals, not humans. So what the graveyard hat originally wanted to do was bring, like, their dead back to life. But, of course, what ends up happening is now the Emperor Mage is attracted. He's very intrigued by her gifts. Because, again, she's a wild. She can transform into animals. She can heal animals. He wants to control her. He hates Numere. He despises him. He wants him dead. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sentenced him to death first. He's very intimidated by him. Because, again, Numere is more powerful than he is, at least in the magic realm. So, sorry, my cat was being annoying. I have cat hair everywhere because calicos. But nonetheless, what ends up happening is he knocks Dane out. So she's basically puts her to sleep. And that he arrests Numere, and he basically claims that she's inciting rebellion. Then he arrests Numere. He's gonna kill him. He executes him, supposedly. And Dane wakes up. Now, she'd rescued a marmoset that had fallen into the river in the very beginning. And he goes and gets help. He gets keys with the hyena or I think it's a hyena, that works, or I think African wild dog, that works with a group of enslaved people, because there's slavery in this country. So they get her out, and he takes her down beneath the tunnels, and she interacts with Kandar, who tells her that Numair has been killed. And she gets pissed off. So she starts awakening all sorts of things. So these skeletons of dinosaurs and various distinct mammoths, and sends them after various different areas of destruction. Now she has to get more power from this. So what she does is she summons the rats, and she makes a deal with the cats and the dogs. Like for like a year or two, they will not go anywhere near where basically the palace currently stands, so the rats can have it. And so they lend her their power, basically their wild magic. Doesn't kill them, but she lends them some of her strength, so she can wreak havoc by sending these old dinosaurs and dinosaur bones to destroy the library and the palace and the treasury, and all the records, for all the tax records. So that's what she sends them off to destroy. He also, the Emperor has also kidnapped Kitten, her, or Sky Song, her baby dragon. Has basically put it to sleep and imprisoned it in his menagerie, because he wants it, because she's a dragon. And he wants rare and precious things to show off his imperialness. So there she sends things out to mass destruction. This palace is being knocked down. It's basically, she's very, very angry, because again, she thinks he killed her friend. She also interacts with the hyenas. Now the hyenas hate the Emperor Mage. They work for the graveyard hag, because she's also a goddess for them. So Dane transforms into a hyena and goes with them hunting down our Emperor Mage. And they eventually find him, and they're going to basically kill him, like give him to the hyenas. They cornered him. Basically the people get there. His Kandar pretty much tells him, it's like, you have two choices. You can surrender, or you can be given to the hyenas, essentially, because his army's been destroyed. Not only by the hard things, but various animals have gone crazy and destroyed everything. As Dane has a tendency to do, the animals are inspired by her to pretty much rebel and destroy goods and essentially destroy everything. So that goes on. The military is he's brought in all the armies there to show off to Tortall, and they're just completely decimated with their supplies, and all their gear is pretty much destroyed by these animals. So Dane, but however, there's one little trick. So the Stormwings, one of the king and queens of their group were imprisoned and claimed to be dead, in order for this other one to agree to help our Emperor Mage. Well, Dane informs one of the Stormwings that she's kind of befriended of this, and he finds this out. He finds that the fact they're imprisoned rather than having been killed, as is Stormwing custom. You have to, in order to seat the one ruler of a specific band, you actually have to kill them, not, have them imprisoned by an Emperor Mage. So he gives the Emperor Mage, whose name for some reason I cannot remember off the top of my head. And let's see, what on earth is his name? No. And I don't want to skim through the book at this moment. So, but he gives him a Stormwing wing. And basically, if you need this desperation, you can use this. So he does, and he transforms into a Stormwing. Now, he can't use he's no longer mortal. He's an immortal. So he can't use mortal magic. He can't hold the throne of Karthak anymore. And so he flies off, and of course, they're supposed to go kill him. It turns out they don't, but that's kind of... And then, basically, Dane turns around, and Numair's not dead. So she all of a sudden realizes that, yes, this is really him. And she transforms completely to human, and she's naked, because that's how it is. He covers her with his cloak. And tells her, like, yes, I'm really alive. I made a simiculum that was very, very good. I've been working on it for months. I brought it over here. It's been hidden with my mentor, and that's what they killed, not him. And he's been hiding. So she is exhausted. Kandar is obviously now in charge because eventually he realized his uncle was going to have him killed anyway. And he talks to the graveyard hag, shows up, and he talks to the graveyard hag. It's like, yes, what do we need to make the gods happy again? Because again, everything's been destroyed. The treasury, the records, everything, the palace has been destroyed. She tells Kandar, don't rebuild your castle over there. You'll have a problem with rats for several years. So, and eventually the powers of giving things back to life, given back to the graveyard hag, and she falls asleep for like 3 days. She wakes up, there's peace, and they've signed a peace treaty, and she gets to go home, and of course Kandar offers her, it's like, what can I give you back? It's like, think about getting rid of slavery and let this specific group, the ones the Marmoset went and got, that helped her, let them go. Because she also passed a message on from the male badger god to them, like, your god never intended you to be enslaved. So they leave. So they leave with them, along with the choice of the Emperor Mage had mute slaves. And she said, let them go. Some of them choose to stay. Some of them choose to leave. So, and that's what she asks of him, and that's what he does. And she's like, think about ending slavery here, because all they have to do is look across the water and see what freedom is like. And he's like, I'll think about it, because otherwise his ministers would go crazy. So it's like, they'll work on it. So she leaves, and that's kind of really the end of the story. It's very, very interesting. You see Dane, how angry she really gets. You start seeing the inklings of her and Numair's relationship, which doesn't really pop up fully until the next book. So, but again, you get to see a little bit what's going on with Karthak and the gods meddling. And this leads into the fact that the Emperor Mage, and this is a clue into the next book, you have the massive battle with the Immortals. And so that's what's leading into this, because he's the Emperor Mage now. The Stormwing is the chief creature that's essentially leading this Immortals attack. And it has to do with the gods and chaos. So that's the end of this book. Very interesting story. And we have one more book for the rest of it. That would be the Realm of the Gods. That's the final book where you get to see more of the dragons and things. So very good book series. It's a very interesting part of the tale. I have covered, I will cover obviously the final book in this series. I covered the Immortals Quartet previously, so you can check those out. I've also covered Tamora Pierce's Circle of Magic, The Circle Opens, and the Will of the Empress. Those have all been covered. I will cover Protector of the Small at some point. I will also cover her series with Becca, which is the prequel to the ancestor of George Cooper. So I'm planning on covering those. We'll see if I cover the Battle Magic and Melting Stones. I own them, but we'll see. And I do not plan, as of this moment, to cover the Daughter of the Lioness books. I've only read them once. I don't own them, and I didn't remember particularly liking them. So as of right now, that is not on the table. So, and I'm waiting for Tamora Pierce to get to finish her quartet, if that ever happens, with Numair's, which is the more recent books where she's going back in time with him. But that first book came out a couple of years ago, and she's kind of disappeared off the map. Last time I checked her website, there's not been any additions since a brief note at the beginning of the pandemic. So otherwise, I think she collapsed at a 2019 convention. Otherwise, yeah, things have been radio silent there. So along with these book series, I cover a variety of other book series. I do standalone books. I do travel stuff. I do secular homeschooling stuff. My daughter's really young, so we're just getting into that right now. This is being filmed in 2022. By the time you guys see it, it'll be 2023. So she'll be a little about 3.5. So we'll be moving slowly into that preschool, getting into preschool, kindergarten stuff as we move along. So that stuff I will add as we go along. Otherwise, check out the rest of the channel. I have quite a few reviews available by the time you guys see this. You'll have at least almost a little over almost 2 years worth of videos available. So please check those out. Leave a positive comment if you have one, and look forward to more. Thank you.